Pompous. Meaning with examples. Pronunciation. Pompous. Pompous. It is an adjective. Meaning. 1. A pompous person is arrogant, or conceited. 2. If you describe someone as pompous, you mean that they behave, or speak in a very serious way, because they think they are more important than they really are. 3. A pompous building, or ceremony is very grand and elaborate. 4. Too serious and full of importance. Examples. 1. He can sometimes sound a little pompous when he talks about acting. 2. She found it difficult to talk about her achievements without sounding pompous. 3. The pompous waiter served us in the way of a person doing some poor soul a great favor. 4. Is it pompous, or just further evidence of the endless evolution of American English? 5. He was somewhat pompous, and had a high opinion of his own capabilities. 6. Its sheer pompous ugliness unconsciously damages the image of the Union. 7. George is what the jury expects of a barrister, grave, a little pompous, a touch dramatic. 8. I'm sure we shall all like whatever you wear, he said in his most pompous Frankish voice. 9. A pompous pigeon, his arrogant chest stuck out like a banker's, sat on top of the flagpole. 10. There were some who admired him, and others who considered him a pompous windbag. 11. Percy had bustled over, rubbing his hands together, and looking extremely pompous. 12. Down the hall it went and into the bedrooms, with its strange, pompous little strut. Ponderous. Meaning with examples. Pronunciation. Ponderous. Ponderous. It is an adjective. Meaning. 1. Ponderous writing, or speech is very serious, uses more words than necessary, and is rather dull. 2. A movement, or action that is ponderous is very slow, or clumsy. 3. Slow and awkward because of being heavy, or large. 4. If a book, speech, or style of writing or speaking is ponderous, it is boring because it is too slow, long, or serious. Examples. 1. You cannot cope with such a situation by the slow, ponderous processes of the law. 2. Apart from the usual ponderous phrases, and evasiveness, the answer was 0. 3. He said that it was untidy, ponderous, and slow but was the best thing we had. 4. The machinery is ponderous and it has, as yet, made no impression upon the situation. 5. Is it really necessary to have such ponderous buildings for the assembling of files? 6. The old lady's footsteps could be heard, ponderous and threatening, on the front steps. 7. His films are ponderous, occasionally dull, always intriguing and kind of great. 8. The steps in the gravel sounded heavy, and ponderous, like those of a large man. 9. He brooded in ponderous speculation, over the cryptic message he had just received. 10. It beat, a deep ponderous throb of sound, and each pulse sent out a wash of indigo light. 11. It's a big sound without being ponderous, and sticks in your head like a burr. 12. It's ponderous, after a while, you can't help wondering what the hubbub is all about. Populous. Meaning with examples. Pronunciation. Populous. Populous. It is an adjective. Meaning. 1. A populous area has a large population in relation to its size. 2. full of residents or inhabitants, as a region, heavily populated. 3. A populous country, or area has a lot of people living in it. 4. A populous country, area, or place has a lot of people living in it. 5. Forming or comprising a large number, or quantity. Examples. 1. Because of epidemics the tribes are not nearly so populous as they once were. 2. As in 1992, less populous provinces received significantly greater net transfers. 3. However, there is need to motivate a principled case for a more populous abstract domain. 4. He asked the church wardens why, in such a populous parish, his assessment was so high. 5. With that in mind, I skipped Bogotá and Medellín, and focused on less populous destinations. 6. Florida is also the third most populous state, behind only California and Texas. 7. India will overtake China to become the most populous country in the world. 8. But where was the threat from the world's most populous rugby nation? 9. The world's most populous country is responsible for about 40% of global demand. 10. As the center of a miniature shire, Oakham was neither populous nor wealthy. 11. Not when invaders were threatening the empire, and the populace had to be placated. 12. That same year communists took power in China, the world's most populous nation. Porous. Meaning with examples. Pronunciation. Porous. Porous. It is an adjective. Meaning. 1. If something is full of tiny holes or openings, you can describe it as porous. A sponge is porous. 2. Allowing liquid, air etc. to pass slowly through many very small holes. 3. Easy to pass through or something. 4. Something that is porous has many small holes in it, which water and air can pass through. 5. If something such as a defense, or a barrier is porous, it can be penetrated, or crossed easily. Examples. 1. Perhaps, the most worrying aspect of England's performance was their porous defense. 2. There is a shared sense of purpose, and all the theaters are much more porous. 3. Maybe the confidence of a lead would have bolstered that porous backline. 4. Perhaps, the most worrying aspect of England's performance was their porous defense. 5. About 40 still exist, but they have become more porous, and have struggled to pay their bills. 6. The gas bubbles get trapped if you add flour, lifting the dough, and making it porous. 7. Now, thanks to modern architecture, and a porous defense, neither is a problem. 8. The elaborate nets thrown out by air, proved far too porous to trap major enemy units. 9. I take Abuela's hands in one of mine, feel the age in her stiffened fingers, the porous joints. 10. He wore gray trousers, and a shirt of porous cloth, that did not hide his skeletal appearance. 11. The absence of melanin makes gray hair drier, more porous, and less malleable, Mr. Gray said. 12. I take Abuela's hands in one of mine, feel the age in her stiffened fingers, the porous joints. Posthumous. Meaning with examples. Pronunciation. Posthumous. Posthumous. It is an adjective. Meaning. 1. Happening, printed etc. after someone's death. 2. If something happens after someone dies, it is described as posthumous, like the posthumous interest in the music of a singer who died a nobody. 3. Posthumous describes something that happens after a person's death, but relates to something they did before they died. 4. Happening after a person's death. Examples. 1. Posthumous fame was just as important to him, as fame and recognition during his lifetime. 2. 4 tracks featured from these dates were released on the posthumous album Moody Blue. 3. His family and supporters have campaigned for many years for a posthumous pardon. 4. While awaiting the guillotine he wrote his memoirs, which became a posthumous bestseller. 5. In his will, he prohibited the posthumous publication of anything he might have missed. 6. Even the human being whose body it was may not be injured by its posthumous condition. 7. Bentley's relatives are demanding a posthumous pardon from the government. 8. Now her final play, 4.48 Psychosis, gets a posthumous production at the same address. 9. Also on this week's chart, 2 posthumous rap albums hold strong in their positions. 10. The years, more often than not, can exact a terrible cost on posthumous reputations. 11. For his daughter, the posthumous release of his book is particularly poignant in 2021. 12. A posthumous essay collection, Higher Gossip, will appear in paperback for the first time.
If you like the video, please hit the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for more videos.